Hey everybody, welcome to Cinephilia. I was so charming and like funny at the beginning thing that you didn't hear. What's okay?
Yeah,
We're gonna.
Art just got rid of all his charm. You
I'm
got
done.
all of it.
You out. We were concerned it was just us. No, it's me. I push things and I because we skipped a week, so I lost my flow of the thing, how I'm supposed to activate things. So that happened. So it's been an interesting week, interesting day for the topic that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it just so happens that we had planned this topic, and then the news blew up with more info on this topic. So we'll have to get into that.
Yeah, so we're still gonna plan to do the topic that we mentioned before, which was representation in animation. We thought this topic was one relevant to talk, and good thing we did change it because stuff showed up.
Yes.
But yeah, let's start, and we have some new stuff to catch up on, so we'll start with that. In the news, what's up in the news, Will? What's going on?
Well, I guess we can go back to last week since we missed news about things from last week. Disney announced that they're doing a live action Hercules.
Yeah. Totally okay with that one.
I think this one I'm still not okay with it.
If they hire a good director and they do a good job, this one has potential to be a good one.
It does have potential. I just hope that they push it, because my problem with the Disney live action movies or live action movies is that they come from animation that's so exuberant and wild and out there, and they just, to make it more realistic, they make it bland. And I feel like Hercules literally being about the gods and being otherworldly and large and crazy, they really have to push it. And if they don't push it, it's just going to come off as bland again. So that's my only concern. I just want them to push it and make it as grand as it can be.
Yeah, they need to give it to a director with like really cool visual style.
Yeah,
and they need to let him go with it. They need to let him just commit to it, because I feel like somebody who is talented visually could make this a really interesting story. And this for me feels really interesting. Make a really interesting live action version of this.
I also like, you know how everyone was worried about Will Smith as the genie, because you don't want him to just redo Robin Williams, because Robin Williams as genie is so iconic.
Yeah,
I kind of feel the same way about James Woods as Hades. Like that's such an iconic character in itself.
Yeah,
that if you try to do a James Wood impersonation, it's not going to work. So I wonder how they're going to handle that.
And if I still like James Woods, then I would be like, let's just bring him and do it again.
But James Woods sucks.
It sucks right now. But there were some like people were saying that Danny DeVito should come back. And
that's a cast. That's a casting that I would love if Danny DeVito came back for Phil.
He would be perfect to fill live action Phil. Yeah, I would love that. If they said that we're casting him as Phil, I'd be like, okay, no matter what you could do with it, I'm gonna watch this movie.
Another make it or break it casting for this movie is well, obviously Hercules, but even more so, I think the Muses.
Yes.
If they get the Muses wrong, the Muses have to be able to sing.
Yes.
And they have to have that gospel feel.
Yes.
And if they get that wrong, then that's going to be very detrimental.
Yeah, I hope they don't cast for famous people because they're famous.
Right.
We need to cast the right people, and and there are plenty of people who could do it.
If you give us some no names who can sing, I'm completely fine with that. I mean, there are plenty of celebrities who can sing as well. But that should be first and foremost.
Yeah,
with casting the Muses, they have to be able to sing.
And if they're a celebrity, great, but make sure they can do the thing. Hi, Dave.
Hey.
Do not give me Emma Stone as a muse.
I think she's learned her lesson. I
hope so.
ScarJo's still working. We're still working on her, but Emma Stone learned a lesson. Did you see the Golden Globes where she apologized?
No, I don't think I did.
It was one of the Golden Globes where what's her name? What's the actress from Grey's Anatomy? The Asian actress from Grey's Anatomy. Sandra Oh.
Yeah.
Sandra Oh and somebody else were doing talking about diversity or something, and they mentioned the movie that she was in, the one about Hawaii, and in the audience she screamed, "I'm sorry!" She apologized because she got so much shit for it. I think she learned a lesson. So no Emma Stone. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I would totally watch that. I'm hoping that it. Oh, and Meg. I think Meg's really important too.
Meg is important, and I love her voice actress Susan
Mhm.
Egan, who's also a stage actress, and
Mhm.
I think did Belle and Beauty and the Beast on Broadway.
Mhm.
Probably too old for the role now, but it's so funny how some of these like actors or voice actors from the original are just so perfect in the role that we want to see them as the live action
Yeah.
characters. Because I feel like she would be great live action as well, but she might be too old for it.
She may. I think she will. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this one lands in terms of Disney sucking. I don't know.
Also, in big news, last week, there's going to be a Tiger King TV show adaptation. Like not a documentary, but an actual
Like a dramatic version of it.
Yes, and Joe Exotic has already been cast.
And who's that?
It's Nicolas Cage.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's kind of perfect. I mean, if you need to see more Joe Exotic, all of those people in that documentary are just kind of awful.
Yeah.
But it's so sensational that it's entertaining.
I will watch anything with Johnny Cage gets to play a crazy person because it's very
call him Johnny Cage.
Nicolas Cage. I did call him Johnny Cage. Nicolas Cage, be a crazy person because he's great at that.
Yeah, I feel like Nicolas Cage will really go crazy in that role. But Dave, who was it that you said you thought would be good for?
Guy played Dracula.
Oh, Dave wanted gosh, I can't think of his name. Who was Bram Stoker's Dracula? Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, that guy.
None of us can.
Chat, jump in.
He's in the Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Yeah, I know who it is.
We all Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
We all
thank
know
you.
his work and love him. And Dave thought that Gary Oldman would be a good Joe Exotic.
Did chat jump in? Nope. They're quiet.
No, chat's quiet today.
They're taking in my charm. That's what's happening.
It's true.
Beat me to it. There you go.
What else is going on? Oh, did you hear about the new movie that Tom Cruise is working on?
Yes. What is? Oh, yes, the space one.
So, yeah, Tom Cruise is working with NASA to actually make a movie in space, like not just set in space, but actually go out into space to film this movie, which is kind of crazy and also on par for Tom Cruise.
On par for Tom Cruise. Again, I will watch anything where Tom Cruise gets to do ridiculous things. And maybe, space program needs a little bit of excitement to get people excited about space program again. Maybe get.
Yeah, I love that NASA is actually doing this, and I'm interested in their end of it.
Yeah,
what they bring to it.
That'll be interesting because that's going to be a very expensive thing to do. So I wonder how they're gonna piggyback that on what mission or what, because we haven't sent astronauts into space. I think we're going back to doing it because we've been going through other countries up to the station. The U.S. hasn't sent any astronauts themselves in a while, so I don't know how that's going to work out.
Tom Cruise is a special case, though.
I guess.
He can do anything. Speaking of Tom Cruise, Dave and I just recently watched the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds for the first time. Neither one of us had seen it.
Oh yeah, what'd you think?
It's awful. It's so bad. Have you seen it?
Yes.
I feel like it's kind of awful on a level that I don't even understand, because everyone involved with it, including Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg and everyone, is capable of doing better.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how this movie ended up so awful at all.
I don't know. There's parts about it that I like, but yeah, it's a little weird.
It's just not. No, it's not. There is. Oh, this was interesting news. Ireland's animation industry now has more money than their live action film and television combined. So they're putting more money into animation than live action television and film.
Why is that?
Probably because their animation has been so well received. Like we got things like Secret of Kells
Secret of Kells,
from
yeah.
that production company, and that production company has been doing a lot of good movies even since then. And I think that their animation is just better received than their live action stuff, so they're putting money into it.
Yeah, I don't know
which is
much Irish filmmaking that I can off the top of my head.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, good point. Animation is what's doing well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. And I can't wait to see what comes out of that if they're putting more money into it. Because those movies are already really entertaining and beautifully done. So if they're putting more into it, then hopefully they just get even better.
Yeah, and X Panther says a lot more flexibility in animation with proper voice talent.
That's true, too. Here's some news that you might, I don't know if you have more news on it than I do, but Muppets Now on Disney Plus.
Muppets Now on Disney Plus. That's all I know.
That's all I know too.
My guess is it's gonna be similar to what Fraggle Rock is currently doing on Apple TV, where it's just that they've basically sent the puppets to the performers and they're filming their own thing in their green screen and they're doing like little mini skits, which is real weird because they're literally doing what people have been doing on YouTube forever.
Right. Do you think that this was something they had in the works or something that they just all of a sudden threw out and was like, we can do this easily, just like the Fraggle Rock people?
No, they had announced Muppets Now a while before the quarantine started, but I have a feeling this is how they're fast tracking it. They're going to start it out this way because it was supposed to be some kind of, they just said it was some improv based thing, which I thought was weird. So I have no idea. So I'm guessing maybe they're fast tracking it more to be this way. Or maybe because I can't assume they would plan something when they don't know when quarantine is going to be over because they don't know when they're going to film it.
Right.
And I don't think they filmed it already because if they had filmed it, they would have released it already.
True.
So I have no idea what it's going to be like. I feel like it might be that way. Don't know. I don't particularly like what Fraggle Rock is doing. I've seen the episodes and it's not.
It's just kind of bland.
It's just kind of bland.
Yeah.
And not everybody's puppeteering their own parts, I've noticed. Like, I think all the Dave Goals things, it looks like he's pre-recording stuff and somebody is puppeteering to them. And I mean, and I get it. It's because the whole quarantine's happening. But I feel like they shouldn't have just thrown something together, which is, I think, what they've done.
Yeah.
I kind of don't like it. It's not good quality.
So hopefully
this is better.
Yeah, they'll put more thought into it and not just throw it together.
Mm-hmm. Muppet tends to be a little more careful than Henson does.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm glad that Disney is continuously putting stuff out there with the Muppets. But I feel like they do kind of put it out there and don't let it rest long enough to be good, to gain the exposure that it needs. They kind of put it out there and like very quickly pull it back. So hopefully this is something that gets some good traction.
I hope so, because the last few things they've done, it hasn't been allowed to kind of work at it.
Right. So they're doing a Netflix remake of Matilda. Have you heard about that?
No.
And Ralph Fiennes is playing Miss Trunchbull.
Oh wait, I did hear that. That's weird.
Well, I guess it's kind of not weird because the Matilda stage show, that character was always played by a guy.
Oh, okay.
So I guess they're borrowing. I don't know if they're doing. I don't know if this Netflix remake is remaking the stage show, remaking the movie, or just like a new adaptation of the book that has elements of both in it. But I guess they're going that way with at least that casting.
Yeah,
that they're casting a guy to play Miss Trunchbull.
I wouldn't mind seeing like the musical version as a movie. That'd be kind of because we already have the movie and it was fine and it was good. So
that's the thing about remakes. We keep getting them and we don't need them.
I don't need a remake.
But yeah, the musical version on film could be interesting and a nice change of pace.
Yeah,
especially since that's what people know right now anyway. So, two more big news things before we actually can
give me one second.
Topic.
Cape X Panther says lots of remakes. Never got around to watching the Amazon remix of Hannah, but the movie from 2011.
I didn't even know Amazon had remade Hannah. I remember the original, and I like that movie.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I didn't know they had remade it either.
All right, two more things.
Two more things. I'll start with probably the one that I'm more excited about, but I know that everyone else will be more excited about the other one, so I'll go with this one first. Remember I was talking about that Popeye animated movie that got squished and taken off of. They replaced it with the Emoji Movie of all things, and that's awful. Out of nowhere now, this Popeye animated movie has been revived and is in the works. They're actually going to go through with it, and it's been like a decade.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm so excited about that. So there's a new Popeye animated movie in the works, and the reason that I was excited about it to begin with is because the animation in it's a CG movie, but the animation has this like really organic squash and stretch feel that traditional animation has. And at the time that they put out this teaser for the Popeye movie, we weren't getting that in CG.
Yeah, no, it was very nice, and it still is. I'm looking for the trailer so you guys can look at it. Here it is.
But now we're getting that in CG. Now, like this new Scooby-Doo movie that is coming directly to streaming later this month, I believe, actually has this kind of feel to it. And also the new Lupin the Third animated movie that's coming out. So I love that someone remembers this teaser and was like, this is where we are in animation now. We finally caught up to this teaser that was trashed like a decade ago. So now we can do it.
Yeah, it was. This video says 2014, so 6 years ago.
Not quite a decade ago.
Not quite a decade.
A while ago.
The first comment on this YouTube video is, and it's canceled.
And for the Emoji Movie of all movies.
The Emoji Movie, that's like, terrible.
Really? That's what we're canceling it for? So that's the news that I'm excited about. I think the news that came up last week that everyone else is excited about that we haven't talked about on the show is that Taika Waititi is directing a Star Wars movie.
That is very exciting. I am definitely looking forward to that. Not only because it's Taika Waititi, but then we get to do something completely new with Star Wars. We don't have to do Skywalker, nothing. It can be related. That's fine. But
have they said what his movie is about?
Nothing. Just that he signed on to a movie. I think it's literally they went, hey, you want to make a Star Wars movie? He said yes, and then they announced it. And that's it.
And it's kind of great that we have... we're now getting mainstream directors who are crazy and creative and out there. He's not like an inside the box thinker.
Yeah.
And so it's cool that we get a director like that whose name alone they can press release for a movie. Like just him.
Just him, and that's enough.
So I'm excited for that.
Awesome.
All right. That's the news for today.
That's the news. Let's go back to our main subject. Bloop.
Our main subject.
What would Tarantino's Star Wars film look like? Oh no. I was kind of more excited about seeing his Star Trek, but Star Wars, I don't know if maybe.
He was someone for his Star Trek movie. I was hesitantly excited.
Like interested, right?
Excited for a new Star Trek movie, but I wasn't ever quite on board with him doing it. But I was hopeful that he would at least bring something new to it.
I see what Klingon toes look like.
Klingon toes. Actually, you know what would actually make me kind of excited if Tarantino be involved? If somebody else was writing it. And he was directing it, then I would be like, okay, I know he's not going to get too weird because somebody else is writing it, but his style and his visual style and some of his like editing, all that stuff will be there, which is kind of interesting. I would actually not mind seeing a Tarantino directed Star Wars as long as he didn't entirely write it himself.
What characters do you think he would do well? Because Tarantino is a bit more gritty.
Yeah, I mean, he would do more like a Mandalorian kind of thing, like bounty hunters and like the scum and villainy stuff. I think he'd do well in there. I think that'd be kind of interesting for him to do that.
Do you remember when there was talks of having I don't know if it was a movie or a Disney Plus series or what, but it was supposed to be something revolving around Jabba the Hutt and being kind of a mafia-esque movie or like a Godfather movie, but with Jabba?
No.
Because that might be something Tarantino could do.
Yeah, but that would have been terrible then. Because if I feel like now they could do Jabba well, like they would CG the shit out of him anyways. But
No, I want a puppet Jabba.
no, I would rather do that. But they would CG him anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mandalorian did,
and walk somewhere.
maybe they would build him because Mandalorian pushed the Baby Yoda puppet, and maybe they would push a puppet Jabba with tweaking with the CG stuff. Be kind of cool.
Art, by the way, I like that you're in the office today.
Oh yeah, no, they can't see it, but
Oh, they can't?
they can't. No,
It's just for me?
it's just for you.
You guys are missing out.
Yeah, my Zoom chat with Will has me in the office, like the TV
That's
show.
right. You have the Cinephilia
I have the
logo
Cinephilia stuff.
behind you.
Yeah.
Sorry to tease you guys. So our topic for today, we're actually going to be getting into what is going on with the film industry, the movie industry right now, that we're in a pandemic, and what it's going to look like speculatively, what it could look like after we come out of all of this, how it's going to change, because there's a lot of change happening, and it's happening rapidly. As I said, there's news that just broke earlier today revolving around this. So I think the big thing that set off a lot of this conversation that's going on about the movie industry right now was actually another news item from last week that I was waiting to bring up, was the fact that Universal started putting their movies on stream, and especially like the Trolls, the newest Trolls movie, did really well. And everyone's at home, so it's the perfect time to do this kind of thing. But AMC really lashed out at Universal.
They threw a fit. They were just like old people who did not like change.
But in AMC's defense, I understand why they lashed out and why they don't like this change, because it kind of leaves them at in a low spot. It doesn't help them at all, and they're already struggling. So
yeah, but what happens to those companies? I feel like historically, when something changes in the industry, entertainment industry, or new technology or a new way of thinking, how we do things, it's those companies that fight against it that end up losing, rather than figuring out how they can become a part of it. It was like when we're dealing with the whole music stuff, when like BitTorrenting or just file sharing stuff started happening, and so many companies were just fighting against it for so long about music online, until finally they went, oh, maybe we should embrace it, and then we did, and now everybody pays for the music. Not a lot of people is pirate anymore because it's so much easier just to pay for the music. So if people like AMC and those old people who don't want change kind of figure out how to integrate themselves into those technologies and changes, they would just fare so much better.
I agree. I completely agree. Part of the problem is that AMC has been struggling so long, and the market has been moving towards streaming as opposed to movie theater going for a long time anyway, that this pandemic just kind of expedited it. And so AMC was just not ready at all. I think that AMC could see that the market was going that way before it to just happen like that overnight.
Yeah.
And this is, this movie industry talk is really symbolic of a lot of things that are going on overall, because there are so many things that we've been wanting to change in society in general that, we've been having talks about and trying to get things to happen in this pandemic, and forcing everyone to stay home and not be able to help out the economy the way that we normally would, has just expedited a lot of things. And so a lot of things are going to change.
Yeah.
So this movie talk is really symbolic of more than just the movies, but that's what the show is. So that's how we're tackling it.
Mitchie says direct-to-home releases should be more popular. As things are, this is what's going to happen. And I think they are going to be more popular to have those releases. But I lost my train of thought.
So I agree. I feel like direct to home releases are going to be more popular. Universal said that they, once theaters open back up, they wanted to release direct to home on streaming and to theaters at the same time.
Mhm.
And so AMC's response was, we're not going to show Universal movies anymore. Like, just nix Universal's distribution into the theaters altogether, which is kind of like AMC is going to lose no matter what they decide.
Yeah.
So they're probably deciding to have a even bigger loss. Like, if they had Universal in the theaters, at least there would be some people coming to see that. If they don't have it at all, then they're just not going to get anyone. It's a weird position for AMC to be in, but also because the studio is demanding so much money from theaters.
Yeah.
Is it really worth their money to put a movie into the theater that people are just going to watch at home anyway? That's just taking up space for other movies they could have there from other studios.
True.
So that's why I can see like both sides of it. AMC is going to lose no matter what they decide.
You know what? And maybe the movie theater industry needs that. They need to lose to think of how to redo this, because there has been zero innovation in terms of how movie theaters function. It's been the same thing for years. Literally, the last time I felt like there was the big change in movie theater experience was when they introduced stadium seating.
Yeah. And
that's when it was like the experience changed a little bit because it felt more comfortable. And then all they've done is given us more comfortable seats.
Right.
And so I feel like they need to be challenged. And I think maybe rather than lashing out, AMC should be finding ways to get us to want to go to the movie theaters.
And that's another part of how AMC has been. AMC used to be the movie theater leader. Like, AMC is the most recognizable movie theater name because it's been around for so long, and for most of the time that it's been around, it was the theater that everyone had in their city. But then we started to get all these other theater chains like Regal or Cinemark or whatever, and when they showed up, that's when the stadium seating started. They kind of like started to push the movie theater going experience in a new direction. And AMC, like literally the AMC that I go to still does not have stadium seating. Like they have lifted seating where it's more stadium style seating, but the seats are just like old and hard and cardboard. So AMC is still kind of trailing with that kind of thing. And it's funny because theaters as a whole have been struggling, AMC more so than others, but theaters as a whole have been struggling, and to try to make up for the money that they lose because they have to give so much money directly back to the studio. That's why we start getting, in addition to stadium seating, why we start getting like these luxury theaters that serve alcohol or have like these big recliners or have big dinners that they serve to you directly to your seat. You don't even have to wait in line to get your food. And that's kind of like where movie theaters have been pushing it to sell more concessions, because that's where they get most of their money. AMC is just not following suit with any of that. They kind of have just been the bare minimum for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think they've done well was that Movie Pass. So that I was like, that was a great idea because it got me hooked on them, and I was like, I'm AMC.
But then, like the actual, because AMC's is A-list, but Movie Pass came up even before that because people weren't able to go to the theaters anymore because it's so expensive, because the studios are demanding so much money from the ticket sales that the theaters have to raise the ticket sales. But the theater isn't getting any of that money, so they have to raise their concessions to make money, and everything is just like crazy expensive. So enter Movie Pass to try to save the theater going experience, because it was already on its way out then because it's so expensive. And then all of these movie theaters had to up their game even more to stand up with Movie Pass. And that finally pushed AMC to do something like A-list, which was good, but still, like I would go see movies, 3 times a week with A-list, and half of the time, 2 out of those 3 viewings a week, I would be like the only person in my theater. So they still weren't making any money. Like, it's kind of awful. Theaters have been on the way out for a long time.
Yeah. And so do you think that we're going to lose theaters in general, or how do you think this is going to change after after we get out of the pandemic?
So my theory was, because it's really only these. No, I take that back. I was going to say it's really only the big chain theaters that have been getting hit. That's not true. The art house theaters have been getting hit a lot too, because people aren't going to see art house movies as much anymore. They're just going to see these big blockbusters at the chain theaters. So all movie theaters have been hit, but how I kind of see things happening is that the chain theaters are the theaters that, because they're so expensive and there's so many of them, they just can't stay above water. They can't keep their head above water financially. And I feel like the chain theaters are the ones that are going to scale back and drop off a lot. Whereas art house theaters have a very specific clientele.
And like a dedicated one.
Dedicated clientele.
Yeah.
And also art house theaters, since they're usually owned and operated individually, people can make specific decisions that help their theater and their community, as opposed to these big chain theaters that have to make decisions across the board, across the country. And so art house theaters can usually figure out better how to save themselves or raise money or that kind of thing. Criterion Collection, I think I said previously on the show, has started a Save the Art House Foundation fund kind of thing. And so they've been raising money specifically that art houses can apply for. And if they meet the requirements of being, these independent art houses, Criterion Collection will give them money, which is awesome to operate. That kind of thing is not necessarily happening with chain theaters. So I feel like while chain theaters are scaling back or dropping off, art house theaters are going to become more prominent. And if you look at like the history of movie going, before there were these huge multiplexes, that's what movie going was these like one or two theater buildings where you just go see a movie and it becomes like a special event. Like you make a night of it and you go see a movie.
It's like going to the theater.
So I feel like that's where we're going back to, where the movie going experience in a theater will be more of a special event. You select what movie you want to see, make sure it's a movie that you want to see in a theater, because most movies are going to be available for streaming that you can just watch at home.
Yeah. Or maybe, possibly the movies may even if they continue to do movie theaters, they might their runs might be a lot shorter.
Yeah.
So they might be like, hey, if you really want to see the movie theater, you in January, and then February it comes out on streaming. So it's kind of like what we do now with Blu-rays. You can buy the streaming version like a couple of weeks or a month before the Blu-ray. I think maybe that's what it's going to show. We're going to be able to see it in a movie theater. So if you want to catch it in the movie theater, you can. So I do feel like maybe the smaller theaters, even chain theaters that don't have 30 screens, are going to do okay. Because if you have a small theater that has 6 or 7 screens, they can just put up the big blockbusters, the big things that people want to see, and not have to function in such a large scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the big multiplexes and megaplexes that are really going to get hurt, because they're not going to be able to bring in audiences to fill all of those theaters.
They're not.
It's too much.
Even then, I rarely ever go to a movie where it's full.
Right. Even the last Star Wars, I was not planning on seeing Rise of Skywalker on opening weekend, because I just wasn't that interested. But then you were like, we got to talk about it. And we did our round table for Last Jedi and decided to do our round table for Rise of Skywalker. So I literally bought my ticket for Rise of the Skywalker for opening weekend, like that Thursday before opening weekend, or Thursday on opening weekend. And I was nervous because I remember Star Wars opening weekend, or even the Avengers or Marvel movies, or any big blockbuster that is like Lord of the Rings or anything like that, that is so that has a huge fan base, is going to sell out weeks in advance.
Yeah, and
So
it
buying
has
my
in the
ticket
past.
that Thursday of opening weekend, I was like, this is going to be nerve wracking. I'm not going to be able to find anything. And my theater had like 30 empty seats that were ready to go opening weekend.
Yeah,
So it was no problem.
that's crazy.
And it's just crazy. I couldn't believe that I actually got a ticket on opening weekend for Star Wars. But no one's going to see the movies in the theater.
Yeah. Because on top of the fact that it's become expensive, it's also not always a pleasant experience.
Yes.
Right? Because the theaters have done nothing to educate the public, to enforce rules, any of that. So people just go. Like that's why you and I go to the movie theaters in the middle of the day somewhere where nobody else is going to be there.
And it's empty.
And it's empty. Because I actually sometimes enjoy going to movies with a full theater. Because you get that full if everybody's there to watch the movie, it's a really fun experience because everybody laughs at the same time, everybody gasps at the same time, and it's fun. But if not everybody's there for the same amount of attention, and nobody's enforcing the rules of the theater, like no phones and all that stuff, then people are just going to keep doing it. And I feel like movie theaters have just kind of cared very little about that.
But then we get theaters like, that's why I think that a theater like Alamo Draft House has done so well, because they have the reputation of, if you talk in here, we're going to throw you out. And their ticket prices are a little more expensive, but that's also one of those like luxury theaters where you get a meal and they bring it to your seat, and and they serve alcohol. So that's kind of like, I think the theaters that not only enforce rules but offer something extra are the ones that have been doing better right now, more so than AMC.
I would love to have a theater like that around me, because if I can avoid all the teenagers and idiots who are not going to want to pay extra money for a theater, I wouldn't mind going there every once in a while to like pay extra for a movie that I really want to watch. Comfortably. X Panther says, went to see Endgame 2 weeks after release weekend at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I was the only one there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it used to be that a theater, a big movie in a theater would be big for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, it's scattered. No one can fill a theater because it's so scattered, and there's so few people who either want to go or can afford to go because it's so expensive.
I remember when Independence Day came out, and it was so hard to get a ticket for a few weeks because every theater was full. It was a big deal, and everybody wanted to see it. But now, also, I think maybe movies companies have also saturated the market quite a bit, and there's sometimes way too many movies to watch.
Yes.
And it happens to us. Like, we're like, have you seen this movie? No, because I don't have time. I don't have to watch every single movie. On top of that, with home entertainment, home entertainment has been competing. So I think it would be wise for movie companies to maybe not cannibalize themselves with so many movie releases.
But movie companies aren't thinking that way. They just see the money. They see the money coming in, and that's one reason why going to streaming is such a important move for movie studios as opposed to movie theaters. It's really hurting movie theaters, but movie studios are just cutting out the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
They're just getting money directly from you. And even if they if the movie comes out streaming first, where you have to rent it for like $20, because I think Trolls and a bunch of these Universal movies and other companies, when they put their movie directly to streaming first, you can't buy it. It's just for rental, and you have to pay a price as if you were going to a movie theater.
Yeah.
But for people who can't afford to go to the movie theater, that might seem counterproductive because it's so expensive. But if you think about it, people like a family of 4 or a family that has like multiple kids,
paying $25 for a movie,
one price, $20 for a movie, as opposed to like $14 per person to go see it in the theater.
Yeah,
they're obviously going to choose to stream it at home. I mean, we could have, I don't know if they're going to create some new laws to try to restrict this, but you can have a movie party. Like,
that's how all your friends come over.
$20, you can have 20 friends come over to your house, and all 20 of you, equivalent to $1 for the movie each, just sit and watch a movie together, a new movie. So I totally see streaming as the way of the future. Like, people are going to adapt to streaming much easier than theaters will. Theaters don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think theaters are just the good theaters are gonna step it up and give us that experience that is gonna make us want to go out there.
Right. And I'm fine with that. Like there's not a whole lot of movies being made these days that I need to see in a theater on a big screen. There are some movies that most definitely work better on a big screen. But there's some awful stuff that I don't need to waste my time in a theater. So I'm fine streaming it at home. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I don't subscribe to the whole thing where like movies have to be on a movie theater.
Right.
They don't. It's great. And sometimes some of them are so much a much better experience in the movie theater. But there's a lot of movies that I can watch at home or I could watch in the movie theater and I get the same thing.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's good.
Some experiences are even better at home because it's more of a personal experience.
Yeah. X-Panther says Gravity. Definitely Gravity was one
Gravity needs to be seen in a theater.
Yes.
Those
kinds of movies.
That twice in the theater and was blown away both times.
Yeah.
And every time I have it here at home in 3D, and every time I watch it, I'm like, this is not the theater. It's not as good as in the theater. It's still a good movie. But
M. Jason says, hello, y'all. How's it going?
Hey.
They were doing movies in beta in Huntington Harbor. Watched Pirates of the Caribbean when it came out at home on big screen with 12 kids and food, etc. Good experience. It disappeared. Sorry, I'm. Oh, so they were did like an experience. Okay, yeah. $60 to do. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, if you get a bunch of kids, it's like a streaming thing. If you get a bunch of people to do it all at once, then people do it.
It's worth the money.
It's worth the money.
Another thing that I hope, fingers crossed, comes out of this whole thing is that we get the comeback of the drive-in theater.
Yes.
That's what I really want to happen.
Yes. There's at least one drive-in theater near us that's still operating because a few of them got shut down because of concerns of with health and stuff. But I've seen pictures of people that I know that have been to one in Mission Viejo. No. Where is it? Do you know where it is, Amber? No. Somewhere. And because there's one in La Puente that I used to go to that's still open, I think. Currently, I don't know. But I keep finding out. I am always surprised to find out there's more drive-in theaters than I think there is. There's at least
they do still exist, but they're like a specialty novelty type thing. But I hope that they come back as like a regular thing, especially if the movie going experience now has to be a special event.
Yeah,
then that makes it cool, and you can do it without actually like interacting with other people. Just drive up, and now there's the before you would get those horrible speakers that wouldn't work half the time, but now they can feed directly into your car's radio system,
which is great,
or headphones or something like that. So there's a lot of ways they can do it now. Now I feel like that should be something that makes it come back.
A Radish Grouper says, "Why was there no notification?" Sad face. I'm sorry, I don't know. Radish Grouper missed the beginning of this. Sorry about that.
It's the same time as always,
except for last week. Yeah. So drive-in theaters would be neat to be able to see that as a comeback, because that is an experience. It's different, and if you're in the right vehicle, it's super comfy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Radish Cooper. There was no show at all last week.
So with all that said, in my theory of what could possibly happen after the pandemic with big chain theaters, scaling back or dropping off, and these art house theaters becoming more prominent, going out to the movies becoming a special event. News today broke that completely throws that theory out of the window as what could possibly happen. So today we found out that Amazon is strongly considering buying AMC, which would completely save AMC.
Yep. And give it leverage.
So let's backtrack a bit to, because Amazon is literally a streaming company, Amazon Prime, who needs another outlet for their movies, which is why I think that they're strongly considering this. But if we backtrack a bit, remember when Steven Spielberg was talking about how movies streaming shouldn't be part of the award season
Yeah.
or whatever. Like and Netflix, because that was kind of a direct hit to Netflix.
Yeah.
Because they had released Roma, which was an amazing movie that should have been nominated and won a lot of stuff. It was nominated here and there, but Netflix started to eye the Egyptian theater in Hollywood. Netflix was thinking about buying it just solely so that they would have their own theater to put their movies in, and their movies would then be seen as a theater going experience so that they could be up for awards. So I feel like Amazon has its hands in it, probably specifically for that.
Yeah.
Amazon is such a big monopoly right now.
Yeah, because
it buying another big company like AMC solely for the purpose of putting its movies out. I don't know if I would hope that they would allow other movies in, but I don't know if Amazon would actually keep AMC as something for everyone to be distributed in, or if it would just become like Amazon Prime theaters where you can watch our original content.
Well, there's two things, two different sides to that. One, Amazon likes making money, so why not keep showing other people's movies? Because they don't make that many movies that they could fill every seat for every movie.
Right. Or it depends on if they keep all the
but on the other side of the coin, Amazon right now kind of has unlimited money, so for them to lose a little bit of money on not showing every movie, they could probably survive fine with just showing their movies.
They could definitely survive.
So I don't know. It is like both exciting and scary, right? Like to things like, okay, AMC is not going away. We get to have, because one of the results of a lot of this kind of industry changing is that we might lose access to a lot of movie theaters. Those of us who like going to movie theaters might have less choices. But if Amazon comes in and saves AMC, then we don't lose that. But at the same time, now Amazon owns the largest movie theater company in the world, and it's scary.
I feel like we need to lose some movie theaters. But with Amazon buying MC, that won't happen.
Or we'll lose a lot of the small ones, like Regal and stuff might go away.
Right. And I feel like we need to lose some in order to appreciate movies more and the movie theater experience more, because right now I feel like a lot of people go and just, like you said, it's not always a good experience. A lot of people just take it for granted. I feel like we need to lose some in order to appreciate what we have.
Yeah, Expender says specialize, not generalize.
Yes. I like the idea of having like the specialized theaters, or these special event nights of going to a movie. Reed H. Cooper says Regal is the biggest, bigger than AMC. Yeah, I think that's only in certain parts of the country. AMC, one, has been around longer, so it's name recognition that people trust. Regal, I think, is more of a select area kind of theater.
Yeah, and AMC is all over the world.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, either way, both are... It's I don't know. Could be a good thing for Amazon Dome, could be a bad thing. I still don't know where I feel that.
Well, it would definitely be a good thing for Amazon. Amazon could only come out ahead with it, and AMC, it will be a good thing for AMC. I don't know if it would, especially because there's also been a lot of talk, especially from like auteur directors. This was the whole like Martin Scorsese against Marvel thing. There's also been this talk about how we're only getting people into the theater to see these big blockbusters or the Marvel movies. And so the smaller movies that are at the art houses aren't getting seen. And if AMC saves AMC, if Amazon saves AMC and it's just like the big blockbusters plus Amazon's movies, those little like filmmaking movies, because apparently Marvel isn't film, still won't get seen because they won't get the same distribution. So I can see the Amazon buyout as a win for Amazon and AMC. I don't think it'll be a win for anyone else.
How about for customers? What would that be like for us, for the consumers?
For me,
Amber just texted me, Amazon Prime members could get discounts.
that's
Possibly.
true. I'm not an Amazon Prime member, so for me, for me, it would not make a big deal. I think it would make a big deal for, well, who would it make a big deal for? Amazon Prime members would get discounts, and that's probably all the only clientele that it would be beneficial for.
But Amazon,
because the other movies like Marvel movies aren't going away just because AMC theaters might close.
No,
all those big budget movies would still find a way to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what clientele would benefit other than Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like Amazon tends to kind of like try to change the way industry works in some ways. Like, every time they get into any industry. So I'm curious to see what they would change about the movie theater experience and what they would do. If it would change at all, would it just be back to normal, back to business as usual, except Amazon movies get to be on movie theaters? Is that all the difference it's going to be, or are they going to shake up how the movie industry functions, with maybe more subscription options or things like that, and pushing that a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, that would be if they had like a subscription thing that was competitive enough to get other theaters to do the same thing. That could possibly be a good thing, because then people would be saving money to go to the theaters.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I trust Amazon to do that. This is my own jaded opinion.
They only, again, preface that with, we know Amazon kind of sucks and it's kind of evil company. It's a completely capitalistic entity. They try very hard to satisfy their customers. The one thing that they do well is they look for ways to try to make you happy. And this is why they've been successful, right? They give you free shipping, give you things. So maybe they would do something different to make us want to come to the theater more.
Some sort of incentive.
Incentivize. Reach Cooper says, Black Widow now has a November release date, so Disney believes the movie theaters will exist. So could Disney go into the movie house business?
Well, Disney already does have a movie house. But they show solely Disney movies. They don't show anything other than Disney movies. I think that Disney, if push came to shove, Disney would be more viable streaming.
Yes.
In a movie house.
Only
Disney would go towards streaming before it went to a movie house,
especially right now when they're hemorrhaging money. Money is they're losing massive amounts of money because they're the parks, and they're a company that's diversified both into parks and to movie theaters and stuff, into movies and shows, that right now they're not in a position to get into it. I feel like if times were fine and they were doing well, they would be fine. But right now they're going to struggle for a little bit. I mean, they're going into massive debt because of the shutdown. So I think right now, streaming makes more sense for them. Yeah, the parks are like a huge part of their business, and all, what is it, 2, 3, like whatever parks that we have, they're like 12, whatever how many parks they have, they're all closed. Right. Shanghai just opened today.
6 resorts.
Was it today?
6 resorts.
I was about to say Shanghai's about to open, but they just opened today.
Yeah, but how many parks?
Let's talk about things reopening though, because we've been in this pandemic for like a month and a half now, or at least quarantined for like a month and a half. Things are starting in certain areas of the country. Things are starting to open back up, and some theaters have said that they are about to start opening back up, but with like intense TSA type screenings of people before they come into the theater to make sure that they have the whole COVID thing under control. I don't know how they're going to control it, but I've heard that they are going to have, some theaters are going to have like giant plexiglass things up, sort of like how grocery stores are now, where you can't interact with the person. Which is good for their employees. I love that places are doing that so that the employees feel safer. But that also some theaters are going to have this thing where they check your temperature before you're allowed to come in, so
man.
that if you are running a fever or something like that, you're just not allowed to come in and watch this movie.
Such a weird, like, dystopian sci-fi movie we're gonna live in for a while.
So it's theaters are trying to make a comeback, and we'll see how it goes. And I hope it goes well for most theaters.
Well,
but
and
I still feel like it's too early for any of
are
this.
people gonna go? You know,
Are people going to go? Is the question? Because were people going before all of this, and now that all of this is happening, like maybe some of the protesters will go after they get their haircuts.
Yeah, because like I'm probably not gonna go to the theater for a little while.
I'm not. And they're also trying to implement social distancing where they're only selling a certain amount of tickets so that people aren't sitting next to each other, but still just being in the same room.
Yeah, I mean,
will make me nervous. Like as much as I love the movie theater experience, I'm going to wait a while before I hit a theater again. Reed H. Cooper says people will go if, say, Georgia is an example. Georgia don't give a shit. So
certain parts of the country, yes, will probably go like they don't care.
But I feel like the example that we're going to get is not going to be a good example, because a lot of these places are reopening, and the number of COVID cases is going to go up.
Yeah,
that's my estimation. My educated guess is that it's not going to turn out well. So
I'm gonna
if you're thinking about going to a movie in a theater sometime soon, please be very careful.
Or just don't go.
Trust
your friends at Cinephilia. And if you disagree, that's also fine.
So
just let us know how it goes. Keep us up to date, because in case we're wrong, I want to be going, oh, you know what? I was wrong.
But streaming at home is not a bad thing. Like I for a long time, because I am a big fan of going to see movies in the theater, I was against the idea that everything should just be streamed at home. But I think being pushed into this situation so quickly has really changed my mind on it. And I don't have a problem streaming stuff at home. I mean, I've always streamed stuff at home anyway, but I think, like, as far as new movies, like I said earlier, I don't need to see everything in the theater. Like, the theater experience is an important experience, but you don't get a good one from every movie. So
yeah,
just stream it. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Kyra says, I might go see Dune, but that's the earliest I would go. Yeah, Dune I want to see in the movie theaters.
They still have a movie theater release for Candyman, and I really want to experience that in a movie theater.
That's true, huh?
And there are definitely movies I look forward to seeing specifically in a movie theater. But for most movies that are planned to come out over the next couple of years, streaming is fine.
And and with televisions and home entertainment theaters getting so cheap, it's like I especially in the last 2 years, this year I remember going to Best Buy and seeing like 60 75-inch TVs for like $600. You can buy yourself a decent, it won't be the top of the line, but it'll be a decent big screen TV. I bought a Atmos system, Dolby Atmos sound system, for like $400. Like, you can get a nice set of speakers and a big screen, and you could give yourself your own little movie theater experience at home. It's gotten so much easier and so much cheaper that it's accessible to a lot of people.
Reed H. Cooper says the theater experience was cool because Regal Unlimited was so damn cheap. Yeah, and AMC A-List and MoviePass and all of that really helped to get people in the theater again, because people were waning because it was so inexpensive. But it's not worth your life.
Yeah,
you don't want to be in there sick.
They're gonna make more movies later.
Yeah, the theater going experience will come back. It's not gone altogether.
It's just gonna change.
It's just gonna change. And there's no reason to rush into it. Hopefully it changes for the better. I feel like a lot of people right now are looking at things in general with the pandemic and wanting things to be open again and wanting things to be normal, go back to normal. I feel like what was our normal before this coronavirus scare was not good for people. In general, I'm not talking about specifically movies, but in general, what was our normal was not helping a lot of people. And so I don't like the idea of going back to what was normal. I think we need something new. But I think that also goes hand in hand with the movie theater experience. We need something new that's going to get people riled up about movies again.
British Cooper says, I want a new normal, less idiocy.
Normal, less idiocy. That's good across the board. I completely agree with that across the board.
Texas Gold says,
less idiocy.
I was in the first wave of not going to theaters back in the 90s. I believe that this when we saw... Sorry, I need to read it first. Yeah, so he's agreeing with us, I think. I believe that I was in the first wave of not going to the theaters back in the 90s. I believe that's when we saw the shift. It was never a fun experience. It was nasty. Even back then, traffic, food, etc. I think it's a failed system today. I do agree. So hopefully we'll get something new, something different. And it's in my head there with the big example I see in my head is always the music, right? The online music. We went from people ripping CDs, putting them on the internet, the industry going crazy about it and wanting to the industry was like pickaxes and trying to destroy everything. I remember I gave up entirely on Metallica as a big Metallica fan. I gave up completely on them because I thought they were horrible people for wanting to fight rather than embrace. And then that fight turned into DRM, right? So all the music was copy protected and it made it difficult for you listening. And then we got rid of that. DRM went away. We realized that it was stupid. And then now most of our music services are subscription based and generally they work fine. And we absorb music in that way. That industry, it took it a while, but it accepted the change and embraced it and kind of worked with it in a way that made consumers happy and they were still making money. And I think that it is going to be weird and rough for the movie industry for a little while, but then it'll settle into the new normal.
Well, to take that analogy a step further to mimic the idea of going to see a movie in a theater, just because we now listen to music streaming all the time doesn't mean that we don't go see our favorite bands in concert.
Exactly.
So that's the same thing. That's kind of what I want going to the movies to feel like. Like I said, it will be a special event. You don't have to go see every single movie that you want to see in a theater, but pick and choose like you would your favorite band, pick your favorite director or your favorite genre and go see one of those movies in a theater and make it an event. And then you appreciate that movie going experience even more because it's not the same thing you're doing every weekend. And
maybe the industry will have to change in a way where not the same people are always going to the movies, but rather they'll make up. So I will be, as a per individual, going to less movies because there'll be a more experience. But maybe, hopefully, more people will go to the movies more regularly, and so that'll kind of change the balance, and the companies can continue making money. We still get our access to our movies, and everybody's happy.
And even that, like, I love that idea, and I hadn't actually thought of it, but even that would help balance out distribution because you'd get, like, one weekend you would get everyone wanting to go see the new Marvel movie. And so everyone who was into the Marvel movies would go see it. And then the next weekend, because Marvel's gone, you would get everyone wanting to see this new art house movie because, so it doesn't it doesn't have to be your weekend every weekend. Yeah. Everyone can have a little bit of the pie.
So that'll be interesting.
I like these ideas. This was a good discussion today.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna know for sure what's gonna happen. Obviously, there's a bunch of movies in the schedule that still have to happen at this point.
Yeah.
And Disney, especially like somebody like Disney, isn't gonna jump right away into the streaming everything because they need to make their money back. So they're hoping that people were gonna go see their movies they're holding on to.
Yeah. Especially the big budget movies, they have to make their money back, and it's not as easy right away for streaming.
Unfortunately, what I do think with a company like Disney means we're gonna get a lot more remakes and a bunch of the things that they know people are gonna go see no matter what, because they have crazy fans. So it's gonna be a little rough for those types of companies for a while.
But is that any different than what Disney's been doing already? Like that's not.
But this time there'll be a little bit of desperation behind it. Before it was like
it's already been desperation behind it.
Yeah, I think before it was like evil, haha, rich making money. Now it's like, please, we need to make money. So we'll always be. Texas Gold says, I've always looked at movies like arcades. They died out. Yeah, they died out to home and computer gaming. Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't change. They didn't adapt.
Great analogy. And now we don't have arcades, but for a long time we really didn't have arcades at all. But now arcades have popped back up as a novelty thing.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of find them, and it's like a nostalgic thing. You walk into an arcade and you have a great experience. And that's what going to a movie.
Or creating weird experiences that aren't necessarily the same kind of video game experiences as before. Like, I've seen a ton of arcades that are like just giant versions of phone games, which is stupid. But
that's weird.
But if you're hanging out, this place where you're hanging out, it's kind of weird, and it's like a fun experience because it's a gigantic screen, doing weird things. So that it became a different type of experience than the classic video gaming. And somebody realized that and made a shift. Movie theater, AMC, make shifts. Stop being old and stuck in your ways. That is my message for today.
And then the movie theater or the movie industry has needed to update itself for a long time. So this is how we're going to do it. It just got pushed into doing it a lot quicker than it was planning to.
Yeah. And just people like Martin Scorsese and Spielberg just need to just be old and quiet and let us remember them for the great that they did. And let us admire them for their work that they did, and just stop being angry people.
Well, one good thing that has come out of all of this is that awards have blatantly said that streamed movies this year are welcome. Like there's no gatekeeping on you having to have been in a movie theater this year. I mean, how could they?
Yeah.
So that's one plus out of it.
Maybe it'll stick.
Maybe it'll stick. Hopefully it'll stick. Because a movie's a movie.
Movie's a movie.
Reed H. Cooper says, what if COVID was unleashed for this exact purpose?
More conspiracies.
The actual reason that COVID was unleashed was so that all these stores could close and Spirit Halloween stores could open up in time for Halloween.
We're going to have a lot more Spirit Halloween
We're going to have a lot of Spirit Halloween stores.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Cool.
That was a good discussion.
That was a good discussion.
I hope that was informative for you guys. And you guys brought in some ideas as well that were very informative. So thank you for participating today.
Yeah. And just a reminder, we're up every Monday at 5:30 p.m. I just want to throw that out there for Reed H. Cooper, who showed up late today.
And we've got more episodes up on YouTube now, too. And there's still 2 or 3 more that are going to go up this week that I haven't finished setting up.
And I got some more on this computer and some more on the other studio computer that I need to go fish out.
So all of this stuff is slowly getting archived on YouTube for your enjoyment. So feel free to go and watch again or watch episodes that you've missed.
And one day there will be a regular schedule for these things to get updated for every show. I promise you that it will happen.
Art, do you have a recommendation?
I do have a recommendation.
Ooh. What are you going to recommend?
Then just says, nah, lies. Did you not go offline between Bioshock, Art? I did. I wouldn't. I got off Bioshock at like 4.
Oh, were you playing Bioshock earlier?
Yeah, I started it.
I love that game. The first one? You started the first one?
First one, yeah. Because I played it when it first came out, and then it was too creepy, so I stopped.
That's why I love it, 'cause it's so creepy.
So, but it's easier with chat. Every show, they don't believe me. They don't believe that I'm gonna get every show up there. I am gonna do it. I will develop a system.
Except for the show from 2 weeks ago, because we found out that audio was awful.
Oh my God, that show was so bad.
That's not coming up. That's going to be the lost show, a lost episode.
Lost episode. And I appreciate everybody who stuck around no matter what. Because I did not realize how bad it was. That was a rough one. Yeah, I had no idea that was that bad.
We went back and watched it and was
We're like, oh, because I was like, it's okay. We'll just put up the recorded one. It'll be fine. Nope. It was totally the recording that was messed up. Jen just says, we tried to tell you.
Yes, you
I know.
did.
I will
You did
listen
try
to
to
you guys
tell us.
next time. Richie Cooper says, we love you now.
Loved us that much. Thank you.
But now we know. Never again. Next. Oh, so I was so mad. I was so mad. One of my backup plans for that, if we ever have issues with Twitch, we're just gonna pop over to YouTube and just go stream over there. So that way the show still happens, and you guys who always watch can still go see it. So because I'm actually gonna try to streaming some things on YouTube in the next couple weeks. My first experiment's gonna be streaming Fortnite with my nephew, because that'll be very
fun.
Art tries to play Fortnite with an 8-year-old. It's great. There's a lot of you yelling at him because he's a little jerk.
That's why it's gonna be fun. That'll
Yes.
be really funny.
Oh, he's going to meet my nephew. He's something. There's a lot of me yelling at him. And a lot of him not shutting up and being incredibly impatient with me. But yeah, that doesn't count. But fun. Oh well, I'm just saying it's my experiment to how YouTube streaming works, and then we'll see. We might do some other YouTube stuff. I'm interested in playing with YouTube streaming.
Yeah.
To see how that goes and maybe gain some new audience.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So yeah, let's all go on to recommendations.
You first.
There's a show on Netflix that I discovered. Well, I didn't discover it. It came out recently and I thought was fantastic. Was Never Have I Ever on
I've heard
Netflix.
of it.
It's so good. It is like one of those like we use representation and it's great. And Mindy Kaling had something to do. She wrote it or did something, and it's a fantastic show. I thought it was very well written. It's very funny. The main girl in it is she's great. She's funny and it's a very Amber kept saying that's very real, like how a teenage girl happen puppy things that a teenage girl lives through, and it's a very, very good show. I would recommend it to everybody. And that puppy has gotten so big so fast.
Yes, he has. He's huge.
He's like a regular sized dog now.
Yeah, he's new, but he's still. I mean, he's still new, but he's gotten huge. He's like at least 4 times as big as he was.
What kind of dog is he?
What?
What kind of dog is he?
Oh, he's a retriever.
Oh, so he's gonna be a nice, decently sized dog.
Yeah, but he's not a golden retriever. He's gonna stay white and creamy, which is really cute.
But yeah, go watch if you've been waiting to watch any shows, or you're like, if that show was in your queue, I would move it up to the top. It's a very fun show. It's very well written. It's both like the kind that makes you laugh and also kind of almost puts you to tears because there's some emotional moments and stuff. Yeah. I loved it. This
isn't my recommendation, but going off of you talking about a Netflix show, because I started a Netflix show, and this is a show that Reed H. Cooper wanted me to talk about a couple weeks ago. I started watching Ryan Murphy's Hollywood on Netflix. Okay. Have you watched any of that yet? Mm-mm. I'm always very skeptical of Ryan Murphy, but I'm 2 episodes into this, and it's really fascinating to see the angle that he's going with this show. I like that it's all about old Hollywood and people trying to make it in the industry and in the city. But so far in the first 2 episodes, I like that there are these little monologues that he lets people have about how they feel in the industry at the time. Like there's in the first episode, there's a black gay character who gets a monologue about being a writer and how he has to go into doing other work because people weren't recognizing his writing and stuff like that. And then in the second episode, there's a Asian actress who gets to monologue about how she was looked over for Asian roles so that they could whitewash this role, and then that role ended up getting the actress who played it a big award, and the Asian actress just felt so left out of the industry and overlooked. So it's still kind of Ryan Murphy cookie cutter, but it's got these really great moments that shine light on things that happen in the industry. So I think so far these 2 episodes, it's been an interesting watch.
Awesome. I'll have to check it out. I've seen
Yeah.
it. I just haven't sat and watched it yet.
Yeah, I would have waited longer to watch it, but I know a couple of people who have just been talking about it like nonstop. So I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and watch it so I can at least have a dialogue with you guys. But my recommendation for today is going to be Big Eden. If you guys haven't heard of that movie, it's a older gay film. And a lot of it's from 2000, and a lot of gay film, like that genre, just also is a very cookie cutter. There's always, this specific story of a white gay guy, coming out and finding himself and that kind of thing, and which is an important story, but we get so much of that in that genre. But this movie, Big Eden, has that, but also is a very I feel like inspirational look at what it's like to be gay in the community that we would like to be in. That's very accepting. There's no drama about characters coming out in this movie. Everyone is just like loving and positive, and that's not something you get in gay movies a lot, because a lot of times the gay character has to go through this drama or not have a happy ending because that's how they're seen in the industry. So this is a very refreshing and easygoing and laid back kind of like hopeful and warm gay movie. And his possible love interest, I don't want to give a spoiler, but there's another gay character in the movie who is Native American, and it goes into, his story a bit. So I feel like it's a really good and really overlooked gay movie. It's called Big Eden.
Big Eden. Cool.
So you guys should check it out.
Where is that?
I actually own it, or Dave owns it. So let me see where it's streaming.
It was on Netflix.
It's on. I'm checking right now.
It's free on Tubi.
It's on Amazon Prime, actually.
Cool. And you can rent it everywhere on iTunes, Vudu, YouTube.
No, we watched the DVD.
And
you can rent it everywhere, but it is streaming on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
If you have that, which most of you do because you're on Twitch.
Cool. Oh, you know what's also good? And I recommend people watch it. If you're a Star Wars fan and fan of The Mandalorian, do watch the Disney Plus. Was it Disney Plus Gallery? The Mandalorian. They're doing like a documentary series on The Mandalorian. It's like a 12 episode or something like that. I'm like, you're making as many episodes as documentary on a series that was only like.
Yeah, they're going to document like every episode.
Well, the first one was on. I've only seen the first episode, and I think they're on 2 episodes now. And they did, the first one was on directing, and like it was like a round table with like Dave Filoni and the hell's the other guy's name? Jon Favreau.
That guy.
And then some of the other directors from that worked on Mandalorian, and just seeing them talking and all the stuff it's really interesting, and it made me appreciate Dave Filoni even more because I love him. He's kind of perfect for being one of the people in charge of Star Wars, because he's every giant nerd who was also very intelligent and capable. And as much as we shit on George Lucas for the prequels, somebody who understands George Lucas and understood his vision for what Star Wars should be. And so it was cool. I like it.
There's also a show on Disney Plus called Disney Insider. Have you watched it?
I haven't seen that. No, I want to see that.
So I haven't watched any either, but apparently episode 5 focuses on, I guess the whole premise of the show is that it just shows behind the scenes of different Disney things and different things that Disney's doing. And episode 5 shows the making of that Sorcerer's Arena game that I'm obsessed with. So I have to watch that.
And speaking of Star Wars, I just wanted to show everybody, Danny sent me something on Instagram. And if you thought Baby Yoda was cute, I would happily trade Baby Yoda for baby
Jar
Jar Binks.
Oh my gosh.
I would hands down. Baby Jar Jar Binks is way cuter than Baby Yoda.
What about I think that I had seen Baby Chewie also.
Like, is he? Oh, I haven't seen that. Really I saw Baby Jabba once. He was pretty cute.
Rita Huber is asking, is Big Eden the one with Tim DeKay and Ari Gross? Is that the right film wheel? Yes, it is.
Cool.
That is the right one. So that's the one to watch.
Awesome. All right. We'll be back next week. We'll actually be back next week at 5:30 p.m. Notification. Come by at 5:30, 5:35 in case we got up a little late. Be here. We will be back. And we'll hit you up some new stuff. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Thank you everybody for coming. Yeah. And we will Cinephilia later.
Later.
Bye.